Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the County Board meeting for August 11th. Would you please rise and join me in the pledge? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For those of you joining us via audio right now, we are having some technical difficulties with the video recording platform, or the video live streaming platform. We are recording this, both video and audio, for later playback. The audio is live, and the video will be played later via our normal links. But we will continue in this fashion for the rest of the meeting today, and we apologize for the late start. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Look.
Here.
Commissioner Brastad.
Here.
Commissioner West.
Here.
Commissioner Schulte.
Here.
Commissioner Meisner.
Here.
Commissioner Gamache.
Here.
Commissioner Reinert.
Here.
Thank you. All present and accounted for. Next, we will consider tax claims and abatements. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Brastad. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
And that item passes. Next, we'll move on to item 5 to consider accepting the regular claims paid over $500 and purchase card claims paid for the period ending July 31st, 2020. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Look is on the floor. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner West. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
And that item passes. Next, we'll look for approval of 2 sets of minutes, one from July 23rd of this year and one from July 28th of this year. Is there a motion to approve both sets of minutes?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Meisner. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Brastad. Are there any corrections to either set of minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Both sets of minutes are now approved, and we will move on to Chair's Remarks. We have one item under Chair's Remarks today, and that is to recognize one soon-to-be centenarian and 3 others who celebrated their milestones recently. They are Sally Esme, Alma Cook, Harold Klinghorn, and Lillian Anderson, all of Coon Rapids. On Thursday, Sally will be celebrating her 100th birthday, and on Saturday, there will be a drive-by parade from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Coon Rapids United Methodist Church for her. Sally is known by many people in the Coon Rapids area since she has lived here since the 50s. And she was a music teacher at Morseby Elementary and Mississippi Elementary. She was even nominated twice for Teacher of the Year. In addition to the mark she's left on education in our community, Sally was a caring wife to her husband of nearly 64 years, Donald, and mother to her 6 children. She was on the Anoka Community Concert Board, was a president and member of the Anoka County Library Board, was a member and president several times of the Coon Rapids Federated Women's Club, was a trustee on the Coon Rapids United Methodist Church Board, as well as a member of their daycare board, and was also active in several organizations, including Anoka County ARC, CRAA, various PTAs, and the Boy Scouts of America group. Her 3 sons and 6 grandsons all became Eagle Scouts. Sally has also stayed active in retirement, being a member of the Anoka-Hennepin Retired Staff Association, Impact Services Choir, and the Coon Rapids Senior Center. Mrs. Esme is a family friend of ours, close friends with my mother, and fabulous family here in Coon Rapids, and we're very happy Sally's around to celebrate her 100th birthday, and any of you that can drive by the parade or through the parade on Saturday at the United Methodist Church, that would be awesome. Her daughter also worked for us here at Anoka County for a good length of time and has retired recently. So congratulations, Sally. Next, Alma Cook. This is the mother of Coon Rapids Mayor Jerry Cook. And her family settled here in Coon Rapids in 1952 and quickly became ingrained in the area, particularly in the faith community. Alma and her husband, Gene, became close friends with Father Bernard Reiser, one of the founders of Epiphany Catholic Parish in Coon Rapids. They went on to have a lifelong relationship with Father Reiser. Alma was involved in the circles at Epiphany and was also known for her home-baked breads, rolls, and other baked delights. She later served as lunch lady at Epiphany. In addition to her involvement at Epiphany, she worked at several places near their home on Crooked Lake Boulevard, including the coffee shop at the Red Owl, Bailey's Drive-In, and Target. Alma has a green thumb for plants and flowers, enjoys the daily crossword puzzle, reading cards, and baking for her family and friends. She lost her husband of 47 years in 1989 and her oldest son, Butch, in 2007. She survived a major stroke in June of this year, has recovered, and is back to baking. She celebrated her 100th birthday on July 8th. For those of you that didn't have the opportunity to be at the ribbon cutting for the Hanson Boulevard Bridge, Alma was there, looking healthy and as good as ever. And it was very poignant that that public safety amenity, that bridge was built, because when she had her stroke, the paramedics, police, and firefighters were able to get to her home. She lives right at the railroad crossing. They were able to get to her home without any delay at all and got her to the hospital and effectuated that fantastic, great recovery. So again, a kind of a double pat on the back here for being 100 years old and getting a new bridge to make sure she lives to 101. And then we have Harold. Harold Klinghorn was born on May 17th in 1920. He then, after graduation, he enlisted in the U.S. Navy Cadet Program and went on to become a wartime naval flying instructor and naval officer. In 1943, he married Mildred Collins from Nevada, Missouri, a girl he met on a blind date. They'll be celebrating their 77th wedding anniversary this December. In 1953, they built a new home in Coon Rapids. They have 4 children, including a son who also lives here in Coon Rapids. They have 10 grandchildren and 13 great-grandchildren. Over his life, Harold has enjoyed flying, fishing, reading his Bible, and of course, the beautiful views of the Mississippi River. And then we have Lillian Anderson, and I apologize that I got her name recently and did not get a good bio for Lillian, but I can tell you she lives in Coon Rapids. She just had a 100th birthday, so she's one of our 4 centenarians today. Celebrating county residents who have been pillars of our communities for so long is important, and I'm glad we've had the opportunity today to recognize these 4 extraordinary centenarians. Happy birthday, Sally, Alma, Harold, and Lillian. And I'll just make a quick comment that it says a lot about our communities and Anoka County that people settled here in the 40s and 50s and choose to stay here until they're 100 and beyond. And they raise their families here, and many of them continue generation after generation. So it's pretty exciting to do this. I'm confident one of us in this room might make that centenarian mark. I'm not so confident it'll be me, but nonetheless, I think this is a really big deal, and I'm glad we were able to celebrate today. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just going to comment that you must have really good water in Coon Rapids. Folks that have reached 100.
Funny you should say that. Coon Rapids does have a really good water system, and the aquifers here in Anoka County are, I was just texting somebody this morning who lives in Apple Valley and was asking me, how can I convince my wife that our next piece of land should be in Anoka County? And I started out with, well, it's the water, of course. We're the water recharge area for the entire metro. And I went on with some other stuff. But Coon Rapids is proud of their water system and even prouder of our centenarians. So, and I can say that 3 of 4 are family friends of my family. So I'm proud that hopefully my parents get there too. We'll keep our fingers crossed and say a prayer. With that, we will move on to committee reports, and we will start with the Management Committee report. Commissioner West.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The items on my report are for information purposes only.
Thank you, Commissioner West.
My report.
We'll move on to the transportation report, and we have a couple items we'd like to talk about here. We did meet on Monday, August 3rd at the Bunker Hills Activities Center in the Maple Room. And we've got one item under the Highway Division. The committee recommends approval of a resolution authorizing the acquisition of right-of-way for the reconstruction of Rum River Boulevard between 235th Avenue and Yukon Street in the city of St. Francis. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'll offer it.
The resolution has been offered. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache, Commissioner Reinert, Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brassad, Commissioner West.
Aye.
And that item passes. Next, under the informational items, if you'll drop down to item 4, you'll see that we had a lengthy conversation with the Minnesota Department of Transportation on the ongoing safety issues and concerns on Highway 65 and County Road 22, or Viking Boulevard. That is our signalized reduced conflict intersection, often referred to as an RCI. MnDOT has control of that development of that process and that installation. We talked at length about what can make it safer, and MnDOT is actively working to do that. They have an incremental plan where they started out by posting no right-hand turns on red off of Viking onto 65, north or south. And they will monitor that. The sheriff's office has been asked to monitor that closely as well. And that's the first step. We know there's a lot more to come on this interchange or intersection, and so we worked with them at that meeting. It was just an informational item for us. We don't have a lot of say in that process. And Commissioner Look, you have a comment.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I was just going to comment that I've gotten a lot of phone calls from residents on that. Obviously, they don't like the intersection, but in terms of the no turn on red sign that has been placed there, opposing the no turn on red, they feel it's going to back up onto 22. And I think it's just important to reiterate what you said, that we don't have a say in that matter. That this is a MnDOT decision. This is what they believe will help correct some of the challenges. I know we had a motorcycle accident fatality out there from a right turn on red scenario. So, and I think they determined that it wasn't because of the sign wasn't there. There were other extenuating circumstances, but nevertheless, it's important for folks to know that we were asked on this RCI what we thought of it. I think we voiced our opinion that we weren't necessarily, in favor of this project, and MnDOT went ahead and completed the project. We did have impact on what they closed down and how long they closed down. I believe that Doug at that point had said, why don't you try something different, which was actually brilliant because it minimized the close down period. But at any rate, it's an agency that makes decisions for themselves, and sometimes are subject to those decisions. We may not agree with them, but it's definitely not our jurisdiction. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Look. Well, we want to be partners with MnDOT. We want to weigh in when we can, knowing full well that they can do these projects without municipal consent or county consent. And but at the same time, we want to be their partner. We want to work with them to make this as safe as possible. Right now, the amount of injuries, crashes, and deaths that happen in that specific RCI, signalized RCI, is too high. And if it means slowing down traffic, if it means building a little more congestion to save lives, I mean, I'm going to side with MnDOT on this one. We can't continue to lose life at the rate we have there. They need to do something, and I'm supporting them in that. But you're correct, Commissioner Look, they do not need our buy-in. Commissioner Brassad, then Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is in my district, and I hear about this multiple times every single day, and pretty much have since it opened up. I do know that MnDOT is going to speak to the council and address the East Bethel Council at their next meeting here, and going to address their reasoning behind the no turn on red, all the timing statistics, and they're going to go over the crash numbers as well, because it hasn't been good. We've been clear as a county that we have some major concerns, so We want to support MnDOT in making this as safe as possible, as soon as possible, because it's not a good situation.
Thank you, Commissioner Breasted. Commissioner Meisner.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is just more of a technical question, because this particular design for the RCI, is it one of the first in the state, or I want to say it's unique as well in terms of it rolling out here in our county?
I will turn to Joe, but I know there's a number of RCIs in the state. This, I believe, is the first signalized
Okay.
RCI. But Joe can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Commissioner, my name is Joe McPherson. I'm the Transportation Division Manager, County Engineer. So you're correct. This is the first signalized reduced conflict intersection in the state. There's others around the country that are working well. Melissa Barnes with MnDOT had acknowledged that during our meeting, that there's several others that are around the country that work well in different circumstances. So they're looking at that and trying to figure out the best solutions. As Commissioner Brosted had mentioned, right now they're looking at the short-term, mid-term, and long-term improvements that need to take place. So we're hopeful that there are positive impacts to this intersection and that they improve the safety.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. We will now jump to the additional item, the additional agenda item, which is the Transportation Committee Chair Report. And we have one action item, which is really kind of housekeeping. And so I'm going to read it in full, that we will consider recommending approval of a resolution 2020-TR22, a resolution correcting clerical errors in resolution 2019-132, approved by the County Board at its November 12th, 2019 meeting. That resolution authorized Anoka County to enter into a local road improvement program agreement, C0007540, with the Minnesota Department of Transportation for project SAP 002-596-024, the reconstruction of Hornsby Street, specifically the SAP number in the resolution 2019-132. Title needs to be corrected to 002-596-024, and the contract number needs to be corrected to C0007540. So with all those numbers and everything I just said, all we're doing is a little bit of paperwork to make sure that the LRIP agreement with MnDOT gets through MMB properly and that we document it correctly. So it's just a little housekeeping. Is there a motion to approve? Or excuse me, is there an offer of the resolution?
I'll offer it.
Resolution's on the floor. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look. Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye. And that item passes. And that concludes my transportation report on the additional item. And we're back to the regular agenda, where we will jump into the Intergovernmental and Community Relations Committee report, and we will turn to Commissioner Brasted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our committee met on August 6th, and we just have one action item, and that is that the committee recommends the county board adopt resolution IG-07, resolution accepting funds from the state of Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs for the County Veterans Services Office Enhancement Grant Program. This is $22,500 and can be used for outreach and also to reduce homelessness among our veterans. This comes in really handy to our Veterans Office, and I'm happy to move that.
There is an offer of the resolution. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look. Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that item passes.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Brasted. Next, we will move on to the Parks Committee report, and we'll turn to Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Parks Committee met on Tuesday, August 4th at Bunker Hills Activity Center. We have two action items before us today. The committee recommends that the county board approve the following contracts, subject to review by the county attorney as to form and legality. They are contract C0008066 with the Metropolitan Council for the Bunker Beach Wave Pools reconstruction and asset management in the amount of $1,385,249.88. And the second contract is C0008067 with the Metropolitan Council for hiring Conservation Corps Minnesota or staff to conduct natural resources management and maintenance within the regional park and trail system in the amount of $100,000. As we probably remember from a few meetings ago, there was some discussion as to how much money we would be receiving in these different grant offers. And we were concerned that we could see a cut in the state's legacy program of about, mainly, as things are moving better than expected. The cut looks to be about 13% reduction in the grant funds. So that is good news. That was excellent news on both accounts for both at Bunker Beach Wave Pool and with the Conservation Corps. So these are the two contracts that we have to approve, and I will move them.
There's a motion on the floor for item 1A and B, both contracts. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Reinert. Is there further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I just thought
Commissioner Gamache.
Jeff Perry is here from our Parks Department, and I just wanted to see if he wanted to add anything to it, as this is, like I said, good news that we had.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, members of the board, good morning. My name is Jeff Perry, Park Director for Anoka County, and Commissioner Gamache covered everything in great detail. We are very fortunate, and that, you know, the cut wasn't $850,000 versus $220,000. So definitely will save on the county's budget as well, because this is some county CIP dollars used in particular for the Bunker Beach project. So we are very encouraged, and the Bunker Beach project is well underway. Everything's going well. We're ahead of schedule, and we're looking forward to opening a new wave pool and water park in 2021.
Thank you, Jeff. And I would just, I think, caution everybody that this is good news, but I think, as with a lot of things with COVID-19, this is going to have a ripple effect in years to come. I don't think this was a big cut. This was a minor cut. The next one might be bigger, because this is obviously, we'll be riding the coattails of COVID-19 and its effects for quite some time. But we'll accept this good news when we can get it. There is a motion and a second on the floor. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte. Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
And that has a unanimous vote. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next item is recommends the county board to award a contract for the Wargo Nature Center roadway and parking lot improvement project to Northwest Asphalt from Shakopee, Minnesota, in the amount of $582,035.75. Anoka County Contract C0007926. This is the work. The department has been working on the design and the engineering of the entrance and the entrance road and the parking lot at Wargo Nature Center. For those of you who have been on it in the last few years, it needs it badly. So we were able to get some very good bids, and we're very happy about that. This project will not only reconstruct the entire, or the entrance roadway, but also with a bike lane, and also the reconstruction of the parking lot, which is also needed. So we got 5 bids, and they were all very competitive, and we're very happy to see that in the time that we're in. So we're very happy to move this one along and to get this one completed.
Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Reinert, a second by Commissioner West. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
And another unanimous vote.
Mr. Chair, we had a couple informational items. We had some discussion about the Rice Creek Chain of Lakes Single Track Bike Trail Development Project, in which they were looking at some archaeological digs on a couple different plans that we had set up, and we're looking mainly at Phase 1. And in one of the Phase 1 operations, there were some things, there were some findings, and we're going to probably put that portion of it on hold from what we understand, just because of the findings that they found. And so looking at the second portion of Phase 1, they needed to go back and do some additional digging, just because of, we believe, what they found on the first part. So we're waiting to hear from that. So no construction, well, we're not exactly sure when the construction would start on Phase 1. It could be as early as this fall, and maybe 2021, depending on what we find out. And that's about the only thing. The rest of the things we discussed were about contracts, so that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Gamache. Commissioner Reiner.
Yeah, I would like to also add there was a nice comprehensive update that was prepared for us, and in that was something I found interesting, is that the Rice Creek Chain of Lakes is now the most visited park in the Anoka County system, surpassing Bunker in 2019. And then also, I think it was as of the June numbers, Chamonix Golf Course, which was losing a bit of dollars in the past. But now, with new management and changes that have taken place there, business is happening, and Chamonix is now operating in the black.
Very good. Thank you for that update. Commissioner Meisner?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I just wanted a question about the update for the recategorization of regional parks for, I believe it was Rum River and Coon Lake area. I think it's been going well, but I was just curious how that's going, and then when do we actually hear officially about that?
I'll leave that to Mr. Perry.
Jeff?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Meisner. That is going through the Metropolitan Council committee process at the current time, so it has to go through the Parks and Open Space Commission, the Community Development Committee, and then on to the full council. So it's probably going to be approximately a 4 to 6 month process as it works through the committees for discussion and final approval. So we were encouraged that we had staff level support to convert Coon Lake County Park to a regional park status, which would then qualify us for regional park dollars and state bond dollars. And then the Rum River project is combining all 3 units along the Rum River North, Rum River Central, and Rum River South into one regional park unit along a water trail, which would then Rum River North in St. Francis, Rum River South in Anoka, then would become regional status and qualify Anoka County for regional dollars for future capital improvements. So very positive, would save on the county levy for ongoing capital and maintenance and operation costs along the Rum River and at Coon Lake. So thank you for asking.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you. I just want to follow up to Commissioner Reinhardt's mention of Chamonix. We did have the Common Man open, the moniker open they call it, on July 31st. I think it's the 4th year now we've had that tournament. It was really full. There was a lot of people there. They were keeping their social distance, but they all got a good afternoon of golf in. And the Common Man came out and toured the course on his cart and played a few holes with some of the teams, and so it was an exciting day. But it's good to see the tournament back again, and hopefully we'll see another year next season.
Very good, thank you. And under your report, I would just mention that I saw recently that Minnesota's marketing arm, Explore Minnesota, used one of Anoka County's park photos in their brochures. So it's nice to see Anoka County getting a little statewide recognition of our park system. So thank you, Explore Minnesota. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Commissioner Gamache. That concludes our committee reports, and we'll move back to our regular agenda and item 9 under the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Securities Act, or CARES items. Our first category is a local government category, where we will consider approving the modification of a conference room in the county attorney's office related to the installation of a multimedia room for remote court hearings in an amount not to exceed $175,000. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Gamache and a second by Commissioner West. Is there further discussion or questions?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Gamache.
Just a quick question. I was glad to see this. Over the years, we've had issues or discussions with the courts about having these types, I think this type of operation going on where they didn't really think that was maybe the best way to do these types of hearings, and I'm interested to see that this is happening. I'm hoping it's happening for the long term, that it's not just COVID, because there are some costs that we've had to bear from the Sheriff's Department on transferring people back and forth. And I think this is an opportunity to use what we have available technologically to take care of some of these things without having maybe extra costs. So I'm glad to see this.
Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
And that item passes. Next, we'll move to item 10. Consider approving purchasing a forklift from Quality Forklift Sales and Service in Shakopee, Minnesota for $30,995 plus any license or delivery fees. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Gamache. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is actually replacing a forklift that is broken. This is not like an actual new additional one, correct? Right.
I will turn to Corey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. My name is Corey Camp from the Finance and Central Services Division Manager for Anoka County. Yes, this is, we have an older forklift that has been having a lot of trouble operating. We do need the forklift as we work with PPE and public health needs out at the fairgrounds. We have a lot of storage out there and there's a lot of equipment that we work with.
And I think the reason it qualifies for CARES funding is because it is in the Emergency Management Center and it's used for racking and getting the PPE off high racks. And without a functioning forklift, we couldn't properly do COVID-19 functions necessary for implementing PPE and other operations. Otherwise, replacing a forklift in a different space really wouldn't be a COVID-19 expense. So, Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, just as a follow-up, yeah, that was sort of my initial questions, and then obviously with PPE is very specific, so thank you.
Any further discussion? Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had the same question at first, but after reading through all of the background information and how a lot of this equipment is coming in palletized and coming in from the different containers, and then we have to get it off there and then put it in and put it onto different racks and different things. It made some sense if the current forklift was in the condition it was. I believe it was a 1994 forklift, and it had some limited safety features, so I think this made a lot of sense.
Thank you. Further comments? Commissioner Luck.
Mr. Chair, I'm just reading, trying to peruse it here real quickly, but is this a propane or electric? I'm just asking the question because in the event of an emergency, you may not have electric to charge a forklift. It might be prudent to have.
In remembering the conversation at a previous meeting, it is propane, if I'm recalling correctly from the previous meeting. Any further discussion? Good questions. Seeing no further questions, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look. Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
And that item passes. Next, we'll go to item 11, where we will deal with 4 different spaces. We'll consider approving reconfiguring the following areas due to social distancing requirements and for public health of our citizens. They are the License Center, the Highway Building, Property Tax, and the Sheriff's Office. The License Center first would be $62,800 for speaker ports and headphones. If you recall, we previously approved the plexiglass dividers there, and because of that, it's hard to talk to people behind the counter. They can't hear, and so we're putting in speaker ports, and then our clerks will be wearing headphones, so there'll be good, clear audio, and probably a little more private that way as well. People don't need to holler. And then under the Highway Division, not to exceed $5,000 for wall demolition by Rack Construction, and not to exceed $10,000 for furniture from Alternative Business Furniture. And in property tax, not to exceed $10,000 for permanent glass. That again is Rack Construction. And then at the Sheriff's Office, not to exceed $6,800 for tamper-proof bulletin boards from PMI Safety Furnishings. That one specifically is so inmates and others can't touch the bulletin boards and play with the flyers and paper and then transmit a virus or germs that way. So this is a secured bulletin board. Is there a motion to approve all 4 items under 11?
So moved.
There's a motion by Commissioner Brasted on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Is there discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, particularly with the speaker ports. And I remember originally when this board was discussing it, the subject came up. So thank you for that. I mean, even the perfectly hearing, I think, have problems when you have that physical barrier. But then that brings me to the question of, as we are installing these safety measures in all of our departments, if this is going to be a given calculation as well to add these on.
I think I could turn to Administrator Sivaraja, but I think the CARES Committee would be looking at that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Commissioner Meisner. So as these requests come in, certainly those public-facing areas are where we are identifying these sorts of needs, and certainly those are things that the CARES Committee would be recommending to this county board. We do recognize that those physical barriers sometimes become problematic in being able to transmit sound.
Right.
And so we're trying to address that as we move throughout the county facilities.
Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you. Yeah, and just so for follow-up, so for example, property tax, which is public-facing as well. And so I just don't know if that would be then like an official ask of the CARES Committee to consider that, or if you're having to quote unquote wait for the request. But I personally would like to request that it's considered for all public facing areas.
And it's generally the request has to come into the CARES Committee from the departments.
Okay.
So hopefully property tax would submit that. And my suggestion, well, we can cross this later, but I don't think we need every single public-facing window with a microphone and speaker. I think we could have maybe a couple and then the rest, because we're going to have these remote rooms as well, where somebody coming to talk to property tax could go into the remote room and do everything via monitors and not actually face them face-to-face through a partition. So I think over-installing is probably not a good idea either.
So, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Meisner, if I might, it depends on the design and what it is. Some of them, in the case of the License Center, need these. Other designs, I know property tax and what we've done at the front desk, we've got it set up so we don't need these, but we can still talk to the public okay. So again, design matters and there's different ways to approach it. So.
Okay.
Very good.
Fair enough. Thank
Good
you.
questions. Thank you. Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to, for the public's knowledge, and I'm not in the meetings that you guys are in, but there's some really great background that you've been given, and you've given some of that in the explanations. For example, the Highway Department, this is for a crew leader's office that is too small to accommodate social distancing, space for 3 maintenance crew leaders and 1 to 2 lead staff. So we're taking a wall down so we have a bigger office while they're conducting their business. And it's important, and at first I had the question regarding the tamper-proof bulletin boards, but you explained that very well as to exactly what that's all about as far as inmates touching and the papers that are on there. So these are the types of things that that your committee's going through, and I appreciate that work, and it's very detailed in these descriptions, and I appreciate that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gamache. And again, I've said this before, but everything we're doing to prevent the spread of COVID-19 or the coronavirus, which turns into COVID-19, will benefit us for every influenza season to come. Any of these changes we make will, hopefully it should cut our flu infections in half, because we're going to have so many good practices in place, so many good facilities that are updated to prevent the spread of any virus, including the flu virus. So this could be good for our workforce for many years to come, we should hope. Any other discussion on item 11? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brassad,
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
And that item passes. Next, we're going to jump into the safety net category, and we'll consider approving expanding existing transportation assistance program in an amount of $100,000 to assist with car repairs and insurance for county residents experiencing job loss, unemployment due to COVID-19 and needing reliable transportation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Brassad. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. As a point of discussion, I will say that most people are aware that I run an auto repair shop. I don't do this service specifically because it would be, I think, perceived as a conflict of interest. So I don't do any of this or accept any of this money. And I think specifically Victory Auto is called out as the main auto repair shop for these grants. And they do donate a great deal back to the community, and their reputation in the community is strong. And for that reason, they're the ones who will be, they won't be receiving the $100,000. They'll be receiving some of this money as people need car repairs that are both unemployed or affected by the coronavirus. Commissioner West.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I need to rescind my second because I sit on the board ACAP. I neglected to acknowledge that. or
Okay.
Recognize.
We have a motion on the floor. We now have a second by Commissioner Gamache. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Meisner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just commentary. I'm very pleased to see this. And I want to say Victory is also the partner for Cars for Neighbors. No.
Used to be.
Oh, used to be. Okay. All right. But no, obviously transportation is a key element for people to continue to have jobs or find a job. So thank you.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache, Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brassad, Commissioner West,
Abstain because of my position with ACAP.
Commissioner Schulte.
And another unanimous vote. This has been a great meeting for that. I think they all were, as they usually are. I think that does conclude our agenda for today's meeting. Again, I will apologize to the public for some technical issues. Hopefully you're either watching this as a video recorded meeting in the weeks or days to come, or if you're listening to our audio live, thank you for joining us, and we will stand adjourned. Commissioner Meyer?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. Yes, I just wanted to say one other thing.